It talks about employees returning to school as well. But if we are notified by them, we will take our guidance from the Department of Health officials.
Now, can we please go? Thank you for your diatribe. Can we please go back to the policy we're having?
Is there any questions on policy?
Mr. Cleaver, please.
Any questions on
show
policy?
Show some respect to the board of directors here that are supposed to be running this meeting.
Mr. Bradley, when you show respect,
I did by talking to Mr. Stern. He has the responsibility to run this meeting. Please do not go off of your diatribe. We're having a very simple
questions on policy 314?
You are such a bully, sir. Stop. Please, let me finish my sentence. Mr. Stern, you're the president of this board. You're added yourself onto this policy committee meeting. There's only 3 of us, and you're supposed to be monitoring it, yet you're joined in as one of the 3. Why is number 3 on policy 203 added when we have no state authority? And I would like the board to ask the PSBA who wrote this to have some understanding. Can we as a committee please respectfully ask why this is in this policy? Because I don't believe, sorry Larry, I just don't believe you with your childhood story. Thank you.
Any question? Thank you. Any questions?
Well, now, can we do that, sir? Can we please get that done? This is a committee. This is what we're seeking. Let's please get that done. And then we have questions on this next policy as well.
I'm not sure why you have to speak in the tones you do, Mr. Bradley, and show disrespect to everyone that challenges anything that you have to say. I don't know why you do that. You know, if you would speak normally to people and not say subordinate and not say about my diatribes and not say about when somebody stuck me with a needle when I was in high school and all that type of stuff, maybe we'd get somewhere. But at this point in time, I feel the language is appropriate. And if Mrs. Spinelli would like an investigation into the PSBA on why they put it in there, we can do it. I know you do. I don't. Ms. Spinelli, do you have any input on that topic? Thank you.
My only input would be I disagree with Mr. Bradley that that's not in accordance with what you and Mr. Cleaver were saying. What that actually says, and this is what concerns me about the way people interpret things, is that that's exactly it. It says in accordance with local officials, and it also says, Mr. Cleaver, if you could go back to that number 3, please. Okay. Investigate and recommend to the board district-sponsored programs of immunization. That means the district is going to do it. That may be warranted by circumstances and the health of the school community. In other words, if it's warranted that the school has to sponsor an immunization for something that is only here, the board has to approve it, and it may be conducted in cooperation with local health agencies. I don't think there's anything at all that can't be understood in that particular sentence. So I have no problem with it whatsoever. You can go on, Mr. Cleaver. Thank you.
Or I can make my comment if you don't mind. Or am I being silenced?
Policy, any questions on policy?
Hey, wait a second. I'm asking the question.
I think you made your comments.
No, I did not make my comment. I'm going to retort back to Ms. Spinelli and yourself. So first of all, the board, as Ms. Spinelli mentioned, has some authority. If it is the board's authority, it should be done within the board at the board level, because we're held accountable by the stakeholders. If you're going to circumvent that by giving this responsibility, if he goes to above number 3 where it says the superintendent, so this is the board's subordinate employee, if they're going to do it, that takes away from the community having the right to do it. You're giving him authority, and you're giving this board authority, one deep, as I call it, outside of our legal authority, because if there's no law referenced in it. And I just said before we do such a thing, we should seek the reason why, not guess, but actually look it up so you don't have to worry about interpreting it, so that we can understand why you're doing this. Now, if you take offense to the critical thinking skills of myself, that's on you, Larry and Rita, that's fine. But the reality is, here is a authority that you're providing and requiring your superintendent to take that does not have any legal authority referenced in it. I think that should be reviewed by the PSBA prior to.
Mr. Bradley, why don't you contact them
Why are
and
you
take care
cutting
of
me
it?
off? I thought you were our contact responsibility for the PSBA.
Anyone is allowed to contact PSBA that's a board member.
Then
Why don't you take care of
Why
it?
don't we agree? Hold on. Then if we think that I should do it, that means we think someone should do it. And if we're going to do it, let's agree to do it as a group. Compromise. Recognize how this works. Maybe if you don't restrict the ideology of some of the board members, you won't have to fight them so hard. Don't hate, right? Just learn and move forward. I think this is something that should be reviewed. I'm seeking it to be reviewed. Obviously, by your comment, you agree that I should probably get it reviewed. I'm going to make the sentence that you're our PSBA representative. Reach out to them. You're on the policy committee. Reach out to them for this committee on the behalf of the committee.
Mr. Bradley, I don't take my orders from you.
You're right. You take them from the people, and the people have a committee, and the committee made a meeting. So now we have a choice. Who would this committee like to have discuss this prior to? I'll take these orders. I don't mind. Who should this committee have reach out to the PSBA to identify this prior to its adoption so that this committee can make an informed decision, which is our responsibility? Who would you like me to do it, or I suggested Rita should do it? If Rita doesn't want to do it, and you guys want to authorize me to do it prior to adopting this, I have no problem with that. I will gladly take on that responsibility as a volunteer board member. But at least we should agree that it should be done. And it sounds like Rita agrees it should be done. I agree it should be done. What do you think,
I
Larry?
said I didn't think it should be done. I
you told
said
me to
if
do
it will make you happy, you can do it.
I know, but Rita, if you're asking me to do it and you're suggesting that I do it, you must see value in it being done, even if it's for my own benefit. So therefore, you would agree that that's a good idea to have it done.
I think we need to move on because this is
No,
going
I want
nowhere.
to get a resolution here. I want to find out whether or not
Policy
this board.
3.
Hold on, Mr. Cleaver.
314.
Mr. Cleaver, just because
as we
Rita.
reviewed.
Mr.
Any
Cleaver.
questions regarding policy 314?
Yes, Mr. Cleaver, stop. If Rita thinks we should move on, that does not mean to
Mr.
shut
Bradley,
me up.
I think she
That's
made her
not
comment.
314.
She does not have the authority to do that, Mr. Cleaver. Please, do not take your directions from an individual director. This is a committee. So, the
Again,
question at hand.
any questions
The question
on policy
at hand,
314?
sir. The question
Mr.
at
Bradley,
hand.
we said we don't need the clarification on that segment of that policy.
You don't
Please
feel
move
that
on.
it's needed.
No, I do not, sir.
Rita, do you
I'd
feel
like
that it's
to direct
needed?
Mr.
Hold on,
Stern
Mr.
and Ms.
Cleaver.
Spinelli
What
to
is
move
wrong
on.
with you, sir? Why do
Yes,
you have to be
please
such a
move on.
bully? We're
Policy
having a-
314.
Mr.
That
Cleaver.
we reviewed earlier.
Mr. Cleaver,
We
please.
mentioned. Is there any questions on that policy?
Mr. Cleaver, please, can you stop interrupting when we're having a conversation? We're taking a.
We have moved.
I've got it directed by the majority of the committee to move forward, Mr.
You
Bradley.
got a
and that's what I'm
directive from the
doing.
majority of the committee that's
So, thank you.
stifling the idea that we have to have a.
314. Is there any questions?
You're
Ms.
just
Spinelli,
arrogant,
Mr.
aren't
Stern,
you? I can't
on
believe
that
you.
policy, or Mr. Bradley?
Mr. Stern, why are you so arrogant about this? Why can't you just let me have a sentence to say, hey, if you guys want to vote not to do it, then say I don't want to do it. But I'm going to a whole sentence on this recording that you're not going to do this. That's all I'm looking for.
Any-
I want my sound.